Welcome back to So What's Your Process, the show where we talk with creative people from all different fields about what they do and how they do it. I'm Kyle Dalsimer.
And I'm Allie Dalsimer.
And Allie, I've got a really exciting guest for us today.
I know, I'm super excited.
So today's guest is a celebrity photographer. He began his career in high school and has gone on to photograph platinum-selling artists like Drake and Lil Wayne, NBA superstars like Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook, and has worked with major brands like Reebok, Timberland, Activision, and more. Plus, he did the promo photos for So What's Your Process? Please welcome to the show, my friend and yours. It's Abu Elsadeg.
Hey y'all.
Hey, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm solid. I'm vibing. I'm good. I'm excited to get a chance to talk to you guys. I know this has been like in the works for a while. But we're finally getting to have this cool conversation.
Yeah, 100%. Because I really wanted to have you on for season 1. Because, not only did you go to high school with Kyle and do the promo pictures for So What's Your Process, you also were clutch and came in last minute save for the promo pictures for my congressional run, which was so cool. And they came out really, really well. And I still get comments occasionally about how well those photographs came out. So props to you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's really fun because, you are, we know a lot of our guests beforehand, but I have known you longer than I think I've known any of our guests so far. Like Allie just said, we went to high school together. Shout out to Annandale. And you started your career while we were in school. I mean, I remember I think senior year, we had a class together. We had astronomy together, and I'd see you in class. And then later that night, you'd post some photo shoot that you did with some like major recording artist, and I was like, what is happening, what's going on? And so I think my first thing that I want to get into is how did you come to this? What made you decide that you wanted to be a photographer?
I don't have like a super like deep story. I think I'm just like I'm just doing kind of what I like to do. I always like my friends and I would just kind of go out, and it's like, I don't know, we'd go to like local places, like I don't know, like Georgetown or like Old Town and like places like that. And like, like when you're with the guys, like everyone, like if you've got like an outfit on, you want to get some flicks in. And so I'd always like on the way back from like when we were hanging out, I'd be like, yo, pass me your phone. And I'd like edit my friend's pictures for him on the iPhone editor tool. And I don't, for some reason, I got like really OCD about like editing my friends' pictures, and I enjoyed it. And they were like meaningless like pictures, but I was having fun. And then at some point, I think it was like my sophomore year of high school, or like maybe my junior year of high school, probably like my junior year of high school. I was talking to my mom. I was broke, obviously. I was a high school kid, and I was like, Mom, look, like my mom is super like all about grades and all about school and stuff. And I was like, look, if I make the honor roll like this next quarter, like you gotta give me a camera. She was like, deal. I already knew I was gonna make it. Let me get something out of this. So she was like, deal. I ended up making the honor roll, and she got me like my first camera, which is like a Canon, like a Rebel T6. It's a pretty solid first camera. And then from there, I kind of just like, I started running around, to be honest.
Yeah, and you were running around in school and kind of just made your name really quick. Am I right that you started out by just like cold emailing artists and managers and like trying to get them to let you photograph them?
I don't even know how you know that, but like that's like
well, we have to remember. We gotta know.
That was like 100% true. Like I remember, like in the beginning, I was Instagram DMing and like emailing like everybody you could think of, like just everybody from like artists to like managers, and like for every like, let's just go with DMs, but like for like every 100 DMs I would send, I'll probably get like one response, and like half the time it was a no. So it was really just kind of like a volume thing, and I don't know why. Like I feel like usually like after like putting that much effort into reaching out to people and not hearing back, like any normal person would have been like, like whatever, like screw this thing. But like for some reason, like it was just like me lurking on Instagram and like DMing random people, and like yeah, I guess like that was like really the start. And then a part of that was also like kind of sneaking around. Like I remember like one of the few responses I got back early on, and I would DM people saying like, hey, like I'm a new photographer, like let me come take pictures for free. And one of the few responses that I got back was from another photographer, and like he gave me a piece of advice that I think is still like super important to this day. But he said, you gotta act like you're supposed to be there, like no matter what. Like if you act like you're supposed to be somewhere, no one will question you. But it's when you're all like, like can I come to this or can I, that people will start to question you. And so from that point on, like I continued to like DM people and like email these agencies and stuff like that. But I also just started kind of pulling up to concerts and pulling up to like different things and showing up with my camera in hand and just moving with this like fake it till you make it confidence. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm here to take photos for so-and-so. And I promise you, it was kind of crazy, but like 90% of the time it worked. They'd be like, oh yeah, you're good. And I would get right in.
Oh my God. I love that. Hey, no, I'm supposed to be here taking photographs.
Yeah, I'm like this 16-year-old kid, 16, 17, just like I'm backstage at some place I'm not supposed to be. I'm like taking these photos, and it was just, yeah, I guess that was really the start. Just like being outside and running around and stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh my God, I love that.
And
I love that. What confidence too. I mean, you could just like, I'd have been so scared.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. And everyone's like, oh yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
someone
no,
else
okay,
probably
no,
gave him the green light and just
right.
assumed that you're supposed to be. That's amazing.
Love that.
And so talking about that, I think, you know, you really got your first sort of foot in the door in the DC hip hop scene, you know, and sort of those artists there. What led you to sort of going down that route of like artists in hip hop, and what was that like sort of getting into that world? Because I think a lot of people don't realize that, you know, different cities have a whole different sound, a whole different culture around their music, and DC's is very, very particular. So what was that like?
Yeah. I think like at the time when I was starting, there was like this, there's always gonna be like certain periods where like certain cities are hot. So like Atlanta had its time with like Migos and stuff like that, and like I think that was when we were in high school. And then I think DC was having like this little like DMV like music renaissance, like DC, Maryland, Virginia, just like having this renaissance of like a bunch of like new like young like kids like rapping and stuff like that, and just a bunch of new artists coming out. And so it worked out perfectly because these new artists were having like little shows and stuff like that. And I would like hit them up, and like I would actually kind of get responses from them and from their managers, but it was because they were up and coming, so they were more accessible. But I guess in regard to like why I kind of like moved that route of like photographing artists and stuff like that, I think like I had never been to a concert. Like I had never been to a concert, and I went to like my first concert with a close friend of mine, and it was like a Shy Glizzy concert, who was like a big artist from the area. But I pulled up to that show, and I was just like as a fan, and I came and I was like in the front row. Like I got there really early. I really liked his music. And I remember, so the way like the stage is set up is like there's the front row, then there's the pit, then there's the stage. And so I remember just looking in the pit, like I'm in the front row and like watching this concert, and like the concert's going on and it's lit, you know, like the music's banging and everything. And then like right in front of the stage is like the pit, and there's these like photographers, and they're like, there's like one or two photographers that are like super in the zone, and they're like getting these shots, and just it looked super cool to me. So like everyone's like like jumping for the concert. I'm like sitting here looking in the front row, like looking down at the pit at these photographers like working. I was like, yo, it would be super swaggy if I got to do that. And so I guess that kind of like paired in with like me just starting photography, and I kind of like went that route. Like I want to be able to like do this. and take pictures of artists and stuff like that. And so I kind of just, that's how I got started. And I got started with like really local like in the area artists, and I feel like it just kind of like progressed slowly from there.
And it's so cool to hear that with him in particular, with Shy Glizzy, because I know that I remember when you put out the first like photos from like one of his shows, and everyone was like, this is a different level, because that was the first, I feel like that was the first person who was like 1 million followers on Instagram type person that you were just like, it wasn't just like one off too, like you, it kind of seemed like you were just one of his go-to photographers at one point early on.
Yeah. He was definitely like the first like major artist, and he's from the area, so like those up and coming artists would have shows where they would like be opening for him, and so I would come to photograph them, but then I'd stay for his part of the show. And so that's kind of how I started like taking pictures around him, but it wasn't like, it just seemed that way. It seemed super cool, and I'll take all the credit, but it wasn't like I was shooting for him in the beginning. In the beginning, I was just like kind of like constantly around him and like the people around him, and just kind of by chance. And I kind of got to know like people around him. And so by chance I would be around him and I get photos of him, but I was just taking these photos more so for my portfolio. And it wasn't yet like where I had like a relationship with him. That kind of came like way more down the line.
Yeah, well, you know, like I tell my kids all the time, luck is what happens when opportunity meets preparation, right? Opportunity presents, and if you're ready to go, you might just get lucky. So that actually, but this is really interesting. So you started off in high school and you're like cold, I don't know, it's calling, but it's cold DMing all these people. And then you get an in because you're seriously bold and just do it. I love that. And then through your connections, you sort of take that next step. So that's a really cool evolution of your process. But how does the process work now? Like, do you still reach out to people, or do you just like lay back and be like, yeah, you can come to me if you want, and they reach to you? I mean, what does that look like now?
That's a good question. It's kind of, it really just depends on the kind of work, and it really just depends. I guess for like with artists and stuff like that, like I don't really reach out for that kind of work, just because I'm not doing that much of that kind of work at all. Like my work is kind of shifted to like different stuff. But when I am doing that kind of work, like it's for artists that I've kind of already built relationships with, or like labels that I've already built relationships with. So like I'm kind of already in their system. And so they'll kind of just reach out, and it's like easy because we don't have to redo all the like contracts and stuff like that. So like that part is like super cool. And like I guess this is something I learned recently, but there is never a point when like you just kind of sit back and people come to you. There it is for like this like concert stuff, which is like cool, but it's not really like my end goal. And so for that stuff, like and like for like regular shoots, like people would like definitely hit you up if they see your work like by word of mouth. But for like the big gigs, and like I guess in Kyle's world, it would be like Broadway. Like they're not gonna come reaching out to you.
Right.
Had like an extraordinary performance. Like they're not about to come like, yo, like, hey, can we talk to you? And I learned that really recently from like a mentor of mine. He's a really big photographer. His name's Will Saunders, but he kind of like let me know that recently. And I was asking him, I was like, yo, so like for these bigger like shoots that are like much different from concert photography, but like for these bigger shoots, should I like keep like just sharing my portfolio and my website and just kind of kicking back and wait for them to come to me? And his response over text was like, they will never come to you. Like you constantly have to like especially for like bigger gigs and like with like these companies like in my portfolio, those are definitely things where probably 90% of the time you have to be reaching out constantly to like art directors and creative directors and producers to like kind of advocate for yourself, or they'll never really know like who you are. And so I think that's kind of where it's at now. And I really like, I guess like pay attention to that now, because even like someone as big as like Will, who's shooting for like North Face and like Arc'teryx and like all these Nike and all these crazy brands, he's like still like out here sending like pitch decks, like really in-depth pitch decks about like his ideas and like how he would go about like a certain shoot to like these companies that he wants to work for. So I think it's like it's a mixture.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically the hustle never stops. I mean, you got to keep working if you want to work.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, you referenced it briefly, but you've kind of transitioned your photography to more individuals and portraits, right?
Yeah.
So there was something, you made a comment about your photography wasn't super conceptual. There was not a lot there, something like that, right? And I was thinking about this, Abu, because, you know, they say the eyes are the window of the soul. There are some cultures who believe if you take their photograph, you steal parts of their soul. So I don't know, like, I feel like your photographs, and, you know, I would encourage everybody to go to your website, and we'll give you a chance for that later, but your photographs really, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not just like two-dimensional images. Do you know what I mean?
They capture people's humanity.
They really do.
And,
Yeah,
and that's
a nice way
something
to
that
say
I
it.
was
They
going to
capture-
bring up as well.
They capture a spirit. They capture a depth. That's the word I'm looking for. They capture a depth that really conveys something about your subject. So, you know, at the risk of pushing back a little, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how do you go about deciding how to photograph someone, or, you know, is there a specific process? Do you come like, okay, I'm going to do this, or do you see the person, feel inspired in the moment, or, you know, how does that work? Like, how do you decide what lighting to use, or filters, or whatever setting?
Yeah. I think this is like one of my favorite things to like talk about. So I'm glad you asked. I think like I did mention to you that a lot of my work isn't like, it's not really super conceptual. Like I feel like with a lot of like photography work, or like films and stuff like that you may see, like most of the time it's like when you ask like the photographer, for example, like, hey, what's the story behind this photo? There's like some super deep story, and like, you know, like I really was trying to give off this, and like it's almost like describing a painting, like an abstract painting. But for me, I really like to put it as simply as possible. Like if I see something, I'm like, that's gonna look swaggy, like that's what I go for. But I guess your question was, it's like, how do I decide what's swaggy, as I just put it, which is kind of like a little way to put it, but I probably should have come up with a better word. But anyways, I guess one thing for me is like, I really don't like, and I feel like kind of really strongly about this, but I really don't like stuff that seems forced, or stuff that seems like posed. And so it's like, there's shout out to all the other photographers, and like there's a lot of photographers that kind of and it's just a style preference, but there's like photos that are really like extravagant and like superposed, and like these really like intricate like lighting setups, and like these backgrounds and like poses, and I don't know, they're like super like I don't know, like grand, I guess. And it's like, for me, what I really enjoy is like really like candid stuff, and like I really want to like see a picture, and when I look at it, like wonder like yo, like what were they talking about like in that moment, or like what's that person thinking, or like yo, I can feel that person's like really happy in this moment, or they're nervous, or they're bored, or they're tired. And like you can't fake those feelings, like you kind of just gotta catch them. And there was a photographer who put it in a really good way. I saw it on YouTube like a little while back, but like they like to capture the in-between moments. So it's like when you're having a conversation, rather when you're posed like in the middle of a conversation, I'll snap a photo. And so that's something like I'll do that. Like even like I did a shoot a little while back, and I'm like shooting with like a model, and she was like, a model is gonna know how to pose, but like I kind of told her, I was like, hey, look, just have a conversation with, you know, my friend right here, and pretend I'm not here. And so as she's having this conversation with my friend, I'm like snapping these pictures, and they came out like fire, and like how I wanted them to. And like a lot of times I'll even tell people, like if you look at my work, I'll tell people like, yo, like don't look at me, like look over there, or like look up there, or like pretend I'm not here. And I feel like that's kind of what allows me to kind of capture that like that past two-dimensional aspect and kind of like really get the emotion out of the pictures, because it's not super forced. And like I kind of like, even when shooting with you guys, I was like, yo, like super like have a conversation, be yourselves, don't like pose for the camera too much. And so that's kind of just like the work that I like to do and kind of how I go about making it, I guess.
I love that. You know, and it's interesting because we had someone on the show, a guy named Cyrus Webb, who has interviewed, he has the Guinness Book of World Records now for
most interviews in 24 hours. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's like 47 people in 24 hours, which is crazy. And I think he's got 11,000, and regardless. But, you know, something he said was that I asked like what the secret of his interviewing was, or you did. And he said something to the effect of, you have to remember that it's about the person you're talking to and not about you. And I feel like you have just literally translated and done that exact same thing for the photography subjects, right? So you're all about them, which goes back to it, how you capture that essence, which I think is really cool. But it also does lead me to another question, which is, have you ever like been photographing something and like something bizarre happened, or some like weird unintended thing happened, and it ended up really having a significant impact on your subjects or your photography, or maybe it turned out to be like way cooler than you thought, like something was going to be, you thought like, oh, this is not going to work, but it actually really ended up being cool, or something like that?
I gotta kind of think on that. I think most of the time it's like the opposite. Like I'll immediately know like, nah, this isn't it. Like, nah, I'm not feeling this. I'll know before I snap it. Before I hit the shutter, like I'll know like, nah, this isn't gonna come out nice. And then sometimes it's like okay, like this is gonna hit. Like I just know it. And I'll hit the shutter and it'll be like the money shot. Like I'll know what, like it was the one. But I think like, I guess on a smaller scale, like maybe not bizarre, but kind of like unplanned. Like there's like been photos where like I'm just capturing a picture of something and then something else happens. And I guess that's what you were referring to, but like there's an example where like I took a picture of like a surfer. I think it was in LA. I forgot which beach. It might have been like Venice Beach, but I took a picture of like a surfer, and like it's a super cool photo, and I'm super proud of it. It's like one of my favorite photos. But like I gotta be honest, like that was an accident. It was an accident. It's like it was an accident, and I was just shooting like the beach, and like this surfer just walks into my frame, and I'm like, boom, like screw it, hit the shutter, and like he's just in the middle of the photo, like perfectly centered. I'm like, yo, like I get my film developed, and I look back and I'm like, whoa, like this looks like something crazy. And everyone's like everyone's seen the pictures, like, yo, like this is insane. I'm like, yeah, thanks. I planned it all out.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Yeah. I love it.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I wanna touch on you sort of talked about the more candid feel and your process. You kind of have a wide range of things that you work on. You know, you've got those photos from early in your career with concert photos and these action shots of people. You know, there's this great photo of Chris Brown with like a sold out audience around him that's so dynamic. Then you've also got these like individual portrait photos that you do. There's a photo that you have of this older gentleman with his dog standing outside of their house, which just, I feel like it's one of those pictures where you look at it and I feel like I know these people and I know his story. And then of course you've got stuff where you've worked with brands. You know, you've worked with a bunch of different brands. You know, Call of Duty, Activision, Reebok, and pizza. Shout out, one of my favorite go-tos. So how does your process change in those different formats of photography?
Yeah. I think like the concert stuff, like, and without me knowing it, like kind of really prepared me for what I'm doing now. I think with concerts, I was like showing up to these shows, and like eventually like kind of like actually shooting these shows, but it's I didn't have like a flash at the time or any fancy equipment. I literally just had the camera that I told y'all my mom got me in high school. And so like I don't really, like with a concert, you have no control over lighting, over like where you're gonna be standing almost like for the most part. Like you really don't have control over the artist. The artist is like jumping around, like running around the stage and stuff. Like you don't really have no like any control over what's going on. And so like it really forces you to like sit there and like while this full concert is going on around you to like pick a corner and like zone in and like play with your shutter speed and your ISO and your aperture and like put it at the lowest level because it's a dark room. And just kind of like shoot and like just kind of like I don't know, like be super like surgical about it, almost like a sniper. Like you gotta pick your shot. And so like doing that for like a really long time kind of allowed me to like kind of get really good at like capturing the perfect moment. Because there might be like a moment where like an artist is like jumping up in the air, like yelling into the mic, and like you probably want to catch them like right in that moment, like when they're up in the air, when they're jumping like off the stage or something like that, and like you got to capture that, and it's like a split second thing. And so it's like I think like that kind of like was like I guess my quote unquote like my training for like I guess now it's like it's a lot like things are a lot more calm and like shoots are like super well planned out, and there's like a shot list that I get, and like everyone's kind of there, and like but I don't know, it's like it kind of just made everything way easier. Like if a subject's moving or like something like that, like I don't really have an issue with like kind of figuring out how I'm gonna kind of get this thing done. So I can kind of really I guess I just got like, to put it simply, I've gotten really good at like shooting on the fly and like doing like we call it like running gun work, which is like my favorite type of thing to do. I don't like super planned stuff because then like I said, it doesn't really come out candid. And so it kind of prepared me to do like my kind of like candid running gun type of photography, I guess.
So when you were talking about like shooting, pictures of your friends in high school, when you go out, you'd be like, you're going to Photoshop it and fix it for them and stuff. And then you're talking about like the candid photos you take now. Do you ever Photoshop your candid photos? Do you ever Photoshop those? And then if you do you sorry about the cat. do you tell them, or do you ever like secretly do it, or I mean, how does that work?
When you say Photoshop, what are you?
I mean by altering the photo in some way in terms of shading, or I don't know, getting rid of wrinkles. I don't really know. I don't really know. You know what? That's a really good question. I don't really know what I mean by Photoshop. For me, Photoshop just means you're changing the photograph in some way. So I guess my question to you is, what does it mean in a professional setting?
Yeah. I think there's like different like levels of photoshopping. Like some people are doing like just like retouching, where they're like removing like little blemishes and like wrinkles and stuff like that. And then there's like that's like retouching. And then there's like I don't know, like I'm trying to think of it, but like there's like removing like people in the background, or like removing like random things in your photo. And I guess like I don't do that for like, and it's kind of surprising, but like for like bigger shoots, I don't really do that because there's usually somebody else to do that. There's like a retoucher, or there's like honestly like 500 photos, and it's like there's no way I'm gonna go and remove your pimple from all 500 of these photos. It's a lot of work because it has to be like manual. It's manual. You can't just like, it's not like a preset where you can just kind of copy and paste. But for like smaller shoots where like I know like the photos are gonna be like probably not retouched, I'll go in and like fix certain things, or like just make things like seem a little bit, but never like too much to the point where like I'm gonna like perfect your face or whatever it is and make you look like some like supermodel, because then it's like it's not even real anymore. But then I guess for my work, and this is like really weird, like for my personal stuff, like just the personal stuff that I like make for myself, which is like a lot of the stuff on my website, it's like I'm gonna sit there until like 5 a.m. and like make sure this photo is perfect. Like that surfer photo, for example, there was like a bunch of like seagulls flying around, and like there was somebody like about to like walking on the beach, and like something in the sand over there, and like the negative had some like dust on it. I'm just like, I'm going to work. I'm like a surgeon. Like I'm like photoshopping this out and cutting this out and like fixing like little blemishes, but it's all like kind of be like, it's got to be like super like intentional. Like sometimes you do it, and then sometimes you want like the picture to seem like real. So you're not gonna remove, like I'm not gonna take a photo of an old man and remove all his wrinkles, because that's kind of like a part of his character, like the depth and the texture in his face. So yeah, I think that's like kind of how I weigh it.
That's super, super interesting. I'm curious. I want to pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is something that I sort of really only learned when I was working with a camera when I was doing my short film, was that so much of work with cameras, whether it's filming or taking photos, is the lighting. So I'm curious what your process around figuring out lighting for shoots is. What is your relationship to just how a shot can change based on how you've lit it?
Yeah. I have like a really like kind of, I guess, another like strong opinion, I guess, but like it's all like I love natural light. Like I don't like studios. I don't like big like soft boxes and octoboxes and like all that like studio stuff. Like it depends. Like at a certain level, there's people who can work with that stuff and make it look supernatural, but I don't like it when it like the photo looks like super like flashy. And I love like really like soft natural light. I feel like the best days to like shoot are like cloudy days, which is like surprising. Like I'll be shooting with somebody and they'll shoot me a text and be like, hey, like should we reschedule? It's cloudy today. I'm like, no, like this is perfect, because you get like this really like soft natural light where it's like not too much light reflecting off the person's face and stuff. And so that's kind of like a lot of the stuff on my website. I think everything on my website, like for the most part, is like natural light, and like just kind of like I'll even go in post like when I'm editing and like soften the light more, so like it doesn't, you can't tell that like, I don't know, like the sun was super bright in that moment. It kind of gives the picture this like flatness, like this like magazine type of flatness that like gives it like this kind of cinematic feel.
Yeah, here's a thought, because I didn't know that. That's like really interesting. Do you think there are parts of your process that people just don't understand? Like parts of what you do that are like people have false conceptions about? I never thought of like, oh, you'd want to go shoot on a cloudy day, or you wouldn't want to have your special lighting or whatever. I sort of thought all photographers did that, right? So
Yeah.
are there other things that you have found in talking with people that they just have really like they're just wrong? They just have misconceptions or misunderstandings about how you do what it is you do?
Yeah. I feel like there's like a ton. Like one of the biggest things is like I'm super thankful. Like I feel like I take like pretty good photos, but like they're not super like, it's not a super planned out thing, and it's not like this pitch like this perfect like super calculated, like I had 10 people on set and like there's this light coming in and like I have this lighting set up and like this, like it's not like super planned out. Like a lot of it is like not effortless, like because there's definitely like a thought behind it, like I know this will look good, but a lot of it is like
More spontaneous, kind of?
yeah, exactly, like spontaneous. Like you'd be surprised that like, oh, this photo that you think is like amazing and I think is amazing too, but it was just me being outside with my camera, like trying to find a shot rather than like me having like a whole set like plan for this. And like that's a lot of like the like kind of like industry standard is like super planned out stuff, and like there's a whole deck and a shot list about like how this is gonna go. But like for me, like I love winging it. I feel like I get the best work out of that for my personal work. Yeah, I love to wing it. And then I think like another thing is like the best photos don't necessarily need to have like the best like surroundings, I guess. I feel like a lot of the times like people feel like that you need to, like, let's say you want to take a photo, like you need to have like the most extraordinary background, or like the most like, I don't know, like just the craziest outfit or something. I don't know, but it's just like sometimes like you want to just, and I do this a lot of my photos, but I'll like purposely choose like a super, and you can see this in my work, but I'll choose like a super neutral background, or like I'll put a model, like I'll ask the stylist to put a model in like a super neutral outfit. Or I'll tell somebody to put on a super neutral outfit, like don't wear anything too flashy, or don't do anything, like please don't do anything crazy with your hair that you've never done before for this shoot. And I'll pick like a super neutral background, and I feel like that kind of allows me to do that thing where like you get the emotion out of the photo, and like the subject really stands out because there's not too much going on in the background like distracting you, so you fully like focus on the individual and like that person's emotions. But you like to do that, my personal opinion is like you got to remove almost everything else from the background and keep it super minimal.
I love that. That does lead me to ask, so if you're doing these spontaneous photographs and you're trying to keep everything sort of in the moment and capture it, have you ever looked at your photographs later and seen something that you didn't see in the moment, or do you just always have that eye and know exactly what it's going to look like in the end?
I think that most of the time I like have an idea of like what I'm going for. And I'll know the kind of photo I want, and then I'll go out and wing it and get that shot like most of the time. I think like I have a tendency, and I hope this answers the question, but I think, and let me know if it doesn't, but I think a lot of the times I have this like tendency where like I go back, and it's less now, which is a good thing, but like I'll go back and like hate something I took. I'm like, well, nah, I could have did this way better, or like, nah, this didn't look right. And like I have a tendency to like not do that. Like I'll miss things. But I feel like now, to be honest, I think now, and it's I'm really happy about it, but like now I've gotten to a point where like I'll look back at like my old work, like old portraits that I took, I'll be like, dang, like this is still really good. I wish I could like highlight this again, because I really like it. But I think like I got to that point just by like, I don't know, just kind of like working at it.
Yeah, experience. I love that you look back at your old work and are happy with it. I think, normally it's the opposite, right? We look back and you're like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. I can't believe that I did that.
Yeah.
I love that that's part of that natural talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you kind of a fun one. So if you had unlimited budget, unlimited resources, whatever, what is your dream shoot? Who's in it? Where is it? What is it? What's the what is the story you're telling?
Oh man, that is a really, really, I can't believe I've never even thought about that. My like dream budget, dream. It would probably be like, well, honestly, like kind of like I said, it's like the best photos don't really come with the biggest setup, right? And so like that's kind of weird to think about now, but honestly, it would be like, I don't know, it would be like a picture of like another picture of like an old man with his dog, like, and it would just be like my dream photo, like maybe like a significant old man or something, I guess, like some like old president or something, I don't know, but like it would be like it would more so be about the like the emotion that I was able to capture in a photo, and like yeah, I think like the emotion that I was able to capture in the photo, and just something I'd be like super, super proud of because of like how it came out. But it wouldn't really need like I don't think it would need an insane budget. I really like surf stuff, which is like super random. But like I think one day like I want to make like a surf book or something, like a surf photography book. But I really like the beach and the water. I can't even surf. But I like just really kind of like that environment, and like skate stuff too. Like I really like surfing and skateboarding. I really kind of like those like little subcultures. And like I love capturing like that kind of stuff, like shooting with surfers and shooting with skateboarders, like, and not even like them in action, but like almost like just kind of like the vibes and like the like the community. I think those are like super cool, like mini communities where like, and like I've kind of become like ingrained a little bit into like the skating thing, but a little bit. I'm not like a pro or anything, but like I think those cultures are super cool, and like there's a lot of like character in that type of stuff. So I guess like, yeah, my dream shoot would probably be like some super cool skate thing, maybe for like a skate magazine or something. And I just love like, and like capturing like somebody's character and like just kind of maybe them just chilling with like they're bored with them or something. But like I loved like that type of stuff, and like I feel like there's a lot of character in that, like in those spaces, and like it's super raw, super genuine. Like people are like bruised up and cut up and everything, and it's like wearing whatever the hell you want, and like, yeah, I think like that stuff is super cool. And so like I think my dream, if I had a dream budget, the budget wouldn't be spent on the grand stuff of like the shoot. It would be more so on the like travel. Yeah, it would be more so on travel. I would like travel. I would like make like a surf book or like a skateboarding book, and I would travel like all over the world to like a bunch of like surf spots or like skate spots and like capture just whatever's going on, and like come home and like make this book and like publish it, and like not even really to sell it. Like I think it would be super swaggy to have like a coffee table book, and I would literally like hand it out. I'd be like, yo, put this on your coffee table. And like just take a picture of it, and I will feel like super, like I'll be super happy if I could just make like a coffee table book. That would be super cool.
I love that.
And
so
I
like
feel
a
like,
month at Venice Beach, and then up to North Shore, over to Australia. It's actually different from the question I had.
Exactly. No, but I feel like I feel like that kind of really cracks it wide open on what your process is. It's not about flash. It's not about whatever. It's about understanding people. You know, whether it's the skating, whether it's just an old man. Again, it's about understanding other humans and
is it about understanding, or is it just about recognizing, like really recognizing it and seeing it when it's there?
No, you're completely right. It's about recognizing and sharing. Humanity and our shared humanity.
I do have a question though. So my question was a little bit different than when I should have let him finish. But so my actual
it's fine. It's okay.
My actual question was, if you could photograph anyone, either living or dead, who would it be and why?
Anyone living or dead. Who would it be? Who would it be? Who would it be? It would definitely be like an old person. I'm trying to think like who's a really cool old person. It would definitely be
Mandela.
like maybe someone like that, like yeah, someone like that, like someone like definitely an old person. And it's like, I don't know, like I think old people are just super cool. Like I don't know, there's just like a lot of like character to them and like texture, and it's super funny because like I feel like back in the day in like I don't know, like the 1930s or the 1940s, like people liked taking photos, and there wasn't social media and stuff like that. And so like a lot of times when I talk to like, I'm kind of getting sidetracked, my bad, but like a lot of times when I like talk to like older people, like people in their like 80s or something like that, they're like, yeah, I don't care. Like, yeah, take a photo. Like, yeah, like, are you like, you want me to pose? Or what do you want me to do? Like you should come back tomorrow and take some more. They're like super cool about it, and they like enjoy it. And they're like, they're not like, it's not like they don't have this like social media kind of mindset where it's like, wait, like I need to look good and like this is gonna go somewhere. They're more so like being like super raw, like super themselves. Like that old man with his dog is just like kind of just chilling. Like he's not super like worried about like, wait, does my hair look good and does like this look good? Like, so like you really do get that like super raw emotion from those people because they're not forcing anything. They're really just kind of chilling. And so like to answer your question, a cool old person or like just a cool person that I think I would shoot. I like Nelson Mandela. Like that was a really good one. Dang. Nelson Mandela. Maybe like I don't know, like Tony Hawk or something. Like that would be cool. Like Tony Hawk would be super cool. He's not super old, but he's like for a skateboarder, he's kind of old. Like Tony Hawk would be something super cool to shoot. Like somebody super cool to shoot. Yeah, there's like I don't know. Yeah, maybe somebody like that. Maybe like I don't know, like Bob Marley or something like that. Someone like old, but like with like a ton of character, like a ton of wisdom. Yeah, I think that would be super cool.
I love that. I love that. I think that's probably what makes you good at what you do, because you really are interested in the deeper levels of people.
Yeah. And I think that you see people is the big thing, and that's going back to your process. I think that's where it is, and that's why your photos come out so well.
Yeah. So I we're kind of coming to the end here. I have a question. So there are a lot of people who would like to get into doing the kinds of things that you're doing, to be a photographer at your level. And I know that you're going to keep moving up and doing your thing, but you've really established yourself. So especially given your life experiences, what is like the one piece of advice that you would offer to that high school sophomore who's like really interested in photographing his friends and interested in pursuing it as a career?
I think the first thing I would say is like shoot as often as possible. I think that's one of like the early pieces of advice that I got is like shoot every day. Like it's like working out. It's like a muscle, and it's like you can't really like know like what you're good at and like what's working and what isn't if you're not shooting. Like it's really like sports. Like photography is kind of like basketball or something. Like you can't just like read about basketball and like watch all the YouTube videos of Kobe and like come out here and ball out. Like you gotta go hit the court and you gotta play. So I think the same thing with photography is like pick up a camera and literally just shoot everything. Like shoot everything. Like every day you should take a photo if you have the opportunity, and like go in post in Lightroom or whatever and like sit down and edit, and like you have to like play like with your camera, like literally play around with it. I don't have any like formal education in photography, and so it's like I literally learned by just kind of playing around with my camera. Like, oh, what does this button do? Oh, when I hit this button it does this. All right, so let me like I'm just playing around with it. And then the same with like my editing software. It's like I know that thing like the back of my hand now, but it's not through like reading a book about it or even watching the YouTube videos about how to use it. It's just kind of playing around with it. So like go out and like play. Like go out and play, literally. Like that's what I would suggest. Like that, I think that's the first piece of advice. And then I think like the second and the most important would be like, as cliche as it sounds, like just have fun. Like you can't grow in like a place that you don't enjoy, right? So like if I hate acting but I want to be like an actor, like for the like wrong reasons, I guess I will never surpass somebody like Kyle who is in acting for the love of it, because it'll never feel like work to him. He's constantly like growing and like working, but he's just enjoying himself. So it's never gonna feel like work to him, and he'll constantly like surpass me. Whereas like for me, because I don't genuinely enjoy it, it's gonna feel like work. And so I'm gonna cap at a certain point or like get drained at a certain point. So just make sure like whatever you're shooting is like what you like, and make sure you enjoy it, and make sure like you're having fun, and don't think too hard, and like just have enough fun, and like eventually it'll go kind of where it's supposed to go. But you just got to make sure you're doing something that you enjoy, and that's like the best way to get good at it, because it'll never feel like you're working.
Yeah. Do what you love and trust the universe.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think that's
cool.
really, really great. And I think that's a great place to wrap it up. So what I want to do is I'm going to give the floor to you. If you want to tell folks where to find you, where to follow you, any projects you've got going on, anything you want to plug, the floor is yours.
Yeah. I don't have anything like crazy that I want to like plug yet, but like I'm really out here just kind of going with the flow. But my website is cool if you want to check it out. Like I'm kind of proud of my website. My website's kind of cool. And it's really just my name. Abu, elsadeg.com. And that's like, I feel like that's really like not my Instagram. I think my website is really where you'll see like that kind of work that I like and what I like to do, and like get an idea of like what my style is. But yeah, I think I guess look out, like maybe I'll make a book, and like I said it here first. So like, yeah, I'll make a book or something, and like this is gonna be like the first time I announced it, and maybe we'll look back at it and be like, yep, see, like I said it here.
Ooh,
Listen, we'll take the exclusive. We'll take it.
Take it, yeah, man.
Yeah.
All
right, my friend. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a blast chatting with you, and we'll catch you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abu. It really was so great of you to take the time to do this with us, and really interesting. I learned a whole lot, so thank you for sharing so much.
Nah, thank you guys so much for like having me and like giving me an opportunity to kind of just share a little bit about what I do and how I do it. So
of course.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you so much and good luck.
All right, brother, we'll see you.
All right, bye.
Well, Allie, what'd you think?
I loved that episode.
Yeah.
Abu is like, he's just got it so figured out for a young man. He's super chill and laid back. And I love that he, very few people know what they want to do with their lives when they're that young. Like he was 16, he said, and he's pulling up to concerts. He's like, I'm 16. I already know what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like I'm like nowhere near 16 and still trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably also what makes him so good. I mean, he just lives and breathes, and it's just innate. He's just got this talent, but he also works hard, right? Because there's the old saying, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But he's got the talent and he's working hard.
Yeah.
And I just, it's no wonder that he's so successful. They say, 10 years to become an overnight success. I feel like he's doing it already.
A lot faster than 10 years.
That, so.
No, I will tell you what, it was different in high school where it was, and we touched on it briefly, but legitimately like sitting in astronomy class together and just, being students and then checking Instagram later that night. And it's like, oh, he was hanging out with Lil Tecca. Oh, he was like, I'm like, oh, like, wow, this guy has the #1 song in the world. Yeah. It's like, oh, he just happened to go through DC, and it's like, oh, of course, Abu's with him and getting like a close up of him backstage, and they're just like hanging out.
And that's a really interesting point. Not only is he basically working and doing all this stuff, he kept his grades up.
He did,
in school, and that kind of says no excuses.
No,
and I say that all the time. If you want something, you will find a way to do it. Right? You'll make it happen. And he is making it happen for himself. Like he's making it happen every day. And I love that he's got that, like his process seems to be like a combination of innate understanding, innate talent and ability, that eye that he has, but also with like a hustle and a stick-to-itiveness, to DM 100 people and have one person respond and say, no.
Exactly.
And be like, okay, I'm going to do my next 100 people, so his process is all about like, it's passion. His process is his passion. Yeah. He's just passionate about doing it and about finding that moment and about living in the moment. Like, I love that he's attracted to that surfer skateboarder culture, because that's a very present, real, laid back, don't get stressed about stuff kind of culture. And so his whole thing is just like having fun, doing what he loves, being good at it, but also working really hard. Although if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right? So I love that. I love his energy and his vitality. And I think his process, if I had to capture it, to me, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but to me, I feel like his process is going with the flow, kind of like a Bruce Lee, like really in tune kind of like Zen process. Like his process is just going with the flow and helping it happen.
Exactly. I think that is spot on. I also want to hit something that I think is also a really important lesson from this episode. And that's that, you know, appearances and social media are not always aligned, and often aren't aligned with reality. Because, you know, I you know, grew up, like, went to high school with him, things like that. We were all just sitting here being like, oh my God, Abu, he's doing so great. Oh, everyone loves him. He's what. Meanwhile, we're on this interview now, and I'm like, oh wow, no, he was just like doing everything he could to like get his foot in the door. We were, you know, and we didn't know that because all we saw was the final product. We saw the, you know, the amazing photos from with these like major celebrities and the things like that. But, you know, we don't see the work that goes on behind. And I think that that's so important for no matter what field you're getting into in the creative space. You know, there is so much work that goes behind it. Your favorite actor didn't just walk on set one day and have all of that. They spent years and years training. Your favorite musician has been taking voice lessons their entire life and has been, you know, learning instruments and doing all this stuff and has written 1,000 songs they hate compared to the one that they finally put out.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a really
Broadway
important.
directors aren't calling you.
No, exactly. So I think that that's just a really, really important lesson that I think he unintentionally sort of taught in this in this episode, and I think it's something that I hope that all of our viewers will remember in those times where it feels like you're seeing other people in your field, in your creative space, having all this success, having all these things. Just remember they're working just as hard as you, and they're showing you the highlights.
Yeah. And like Winston Churchill said, never, 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 never give up. Like he didn't give up.
No.
In the face of rejection, he just kept going.
Kept on going.
You know, it's like you're never going to finish the race if you give up.
Real insightful. Never gonna finish the race. No, I get it.
But I mean, there's a lot of people when, you know, it's like things get hard and you face a lot of rejection, and it's like, well, this isn't working out. I'm just going to do something else. But you're never going to get there, you know. Shut up.
I think it started as a metaphor and then it didn't finish as a metaphor. It tickled me. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to this new episode of So What's Your Process. We're so glad to have shared the last hour with you and with Abu, and we've got another exciting episode coming out next week. So please make sure to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast so you never miss a new upload. And in the meantime, Allie,
if there's something you are passionate about, keep at it. Don't give up. And check back with us again on So What's Your Process?
Bye-bye.